Not every museum is a shimmering beacon of high culture. Some focus on the more exotic aspects of the world. Welcome to Couples Wanderlust. Before you continue watching, please subscribe our channel. What turns an ordinary object into something extraordinary? Put it in a museum, no matter how seemingly odd or dull, objects offer us windows into history and connect us to our past. They exposed our darkest preoccupations, most brilliant ideas, and the limitless creativity of the human mind. Pitt Rivers Museum, Oxford, England. The museum is located to the east of the Oxford University Museum of Natural History and can only be accessed through the building. The collection is one of the worthiest museums in the UK. General Pitt Rivers founded the museum in 1884 and there are now over 500,000 objects. Most museums display their objects based on cultures or geography. Not the Pitt Rivers. Here, curators group objects according to type. It makes the similarities between people and cultures, often across vast time periods or extensive physical distance, all the more obvious. So it's important to anthropology and an interesting viewing experience for visitors. There are some particularly horrific wasted heads as well as a giant wooden birds of paradise, their spiral feathers like huge tongues, and the agonized face of a Christian martyr statue, neck twisted towards his god, desperate to release, next to a case of ceremonial knives for stripping the flesh from sacrificial animals. Plastinarium, Guben, Germany. Gunther van Hagens, after 39 years of studying medicine, dissection, and chemistry, he perfected plastination, a controversial process in which polymers are used to preserve human tissue. Visitors who tour the Plastinarium receive a history lesson in anatomy, witness the graphic process of plastination, and can view a serum of humans and animals in creative poses. The center also supplies traveling body worlds exhibits, which can be the subject of various ethical discussions on body procurement and the handling of human remains post-mortem. The Mummy Museum, Guanajuato, Mexico. In the small mining town of Guanajuato, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, hundreds of bodies were buried in the Santa Paula Pantheon's crypts during the mid-19th century. If the families were unable to pay a burial tax imposed by the town, the bodies were exhumed. It was then that they discovered the bodies had been mummified through a natural process, likely due to the region's unique climatic factors. Their ghoulish corpses, including those of infants, are now on display at the Museo de las Momias or Mummy Museum. The Momofuku Ando Instant Ramen Museum, Osaka, Japan. In 1958, after a year of experimenting in his backyard shed, the chicken ramen, Momofuku Ando invented the world's first instant noodles chicken ramen. The Momofuku Ando Instant Ramen Museum documents this chapter of Japan's food culture, where visitors can view instant noodles packages from around the world, taste limited edition eats from Hokkaido and Tohoku, Japan, and design their own soup packaging at the My Cup Noodles Factory. Avanos Hair Museum, Avano, Turkey. The Hair Museum in Avanos is one of the most interesting museums in the country that has displays of hair art, and/or items or paintings made using hair, for example, that of celebrities. This museum was founded by Galip, known for his nickname, Che Galip. Every year, hundreds of tourists visit the museum and leave their hair. The Avanos Hair Museum is in all parts of Cappadocia, brings out an interesting aspect. The museum has an interesting story and is ranked 6th among the 15th most interesting museums in the world. Today, the museum has more than 16,000 women's hair. A pottery center or guest house has created the Hair Museum. Calling it a museum may be a bit of stretch, as its displays are thousands of locks of hair, all from female visitors. Iceland Phallological Museum, Reykjavik, Iceland. Dedicated to the study of phallology, this museum displays over 215 penises and penile parts of land and sea mammals. Specimens from whales, elephants, walruses, and Homo sapiens are on display, along with a collection of eclectic phallic arts. The museum's founder, Sigurður Yattarson, developed a lifelong fascination with pathology when he received a physics as a child, a device used as a whip for farm animals. In 1974, he started collecting whale penises and opened the original museum in 1990 after accumulating a significant collection. Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, Boscastle, UK. Cornwall might be more famous nowadays as Pool Dark Country, but this fascinating museum houses the world's largest collection of items relating to witchcraft and magic. The museum previously exerted in Stratford-upon-Avon and on the Isles of Man, where Gerald Gardner, the founder of modern Wicca, acted as the witch in residence. The museum moved to Boscastle in 1960. A prehistoric maze is carved into the rock face 3 miles from its location, linking the museum with the magic of ancient times. The museum holds 3,000 objects and 7,000 books and stages temporary exhibitions along with public events. While some of the displays may seem unusual, remember that Wicca is a legitimate spiritual path, so be respectful. International Spy Museum, Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is famous for its wonderful museums, but for a unique inside look at the secrets of real-life espionage, head to the International Spy Museum. Learn about the tools and inventions used by spies around the world, such as lipstick pistols, as well as cinematic gadgets they inspired. Interactive exhibits allow visitors to try their hands at cracking codes, spotting forgeries, and more. Funeral Museum, Vienna, Austria. This horrible attraction is one of the worthiest museums in Vienna. Funerals were historically a major event in this European capital, and tourists still line up to visit the imperial crypt. The Funeral Museum capitalized on the trend towards all things funerary, displaying hearses, mourning attires, and items designed to help those who found themselves buried alive. One of the standout exhibits is a reusable coffin designed by Emperor Joseph II in 1784. The bottom of the coffin is a trap door, allowing the corpse to drop into the grave without burying the coffin itself. Torture Museum, Amsterdam, Netherlands. Among the lively bars and hotels in the heart of Amsterdam, this sinister museum transports visitors back in time to Europe's dark history, when torture and execution were commonplace. From the spike-covered accusation chair to decapitation swords, the museum displays over 40 instruments used in the interrogations of suspected criminals, witches, and political prisoners. The museum also educates students on modern torture, still practiced in nearly 100 centuries, and pledge its support for the United Nations Convention Against Torture. Watching this video you think was the most amazing? Let us know your comments below.